Hey, this is Mike with Field of Pursuit. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about recovery, recovery in the backcountry and during our pursuits. So we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about 4 ways, maybe 3.5 ways, that we can focus on and apply recovery techniques during our backcountry trips. And we may not, think about this while we're back there, but for comfort, for performance, this is a really critical aspect. And it's not, these things aren't, crazy things you got to add to whatever you do in the backcountry, right? These are pretty simple things. You just want to add a little bit of intention to it and how you do them. Okay. So king of recovery, we're going to start there. Sleep, of course. We all know that sleep is critical. It becomes even more critical when we're trying to perform at our highest levels. And sleep in the backcountry can be a little problematic. Both through our fault of it's great to stay up and hang out around the campfire and chat. And we all love to do that, and maybe even have some cocktails or whatever it is you do back there. But from our perspective, that is probably one of the most detrimental things that we can do to our performance especially if we're going, for 3, 5, 10 days or more, in the backcountry trying to, whether it's chasing elk or whatever it may be you're doing back there. We need to perform at the highest level possible for an extended period of time, right? And there is nothing more important to do that than sleep. And really, the amount of sleep and the quality of your sleep are both critical points here. And so Ryan and I both really try to get to bed at a decent hour. Sometimes that's tough, but if you can get yourself in bed by 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 at the latest, and be able to get close to that 7-8 hours of sleep, that is ideal. We understand that that's not always possible, or maybe desirable, but the more you can do that, the better. Our sleep system is critical too. So, one of the places that we don't skimp, excuse me, on our kit is our sleep system, and that's sleeping bag, that's pad, of course, some kind of shelter, warmth, all those things. And so, keeping in mind your comfort, sleeping on the ground in a tent in the backcountry, get the best stuff you can. Really try out some things, get your hands on some gear, find the best stuff you can get. It's not necessarily, all about just getting the lightest stuff you can get to, and the smallest stuff that you can get in your backpack, right? Yes, that's a consideration if you're doing longer trips, but ultimately, it's so important to get good quality sleep. Even bringing a sleep mask, so if it's lighter out, if there's stars and moon out and whatever, and you got some light, bring a sleep mask, in your backpack. Those things don't take up any room. You're getting the light out of your eyes, and you're just getting better quality sleep. We can't stress that enough. I mean, really paying attention to how you're sleeping in the backcountry is critical. The next component, is nutrition, of course. And Fuel the Pursuit, we're all about nutrition. That's a big part of what we do. And so, couple of things as far as, performance in the backcountry and recovery is calories, and in particular protein, right? And so from a caloric perspective, for the most part, we're thinking, we're going in kind of understanding that we may be in a caloric deficit. So as many calories as you can bring with you, and we've got lots of other videos and lots of other content that show you how to pull this off really well and really, light, with your pack weight, getting those calories in both front loading prior to exertion and after exertion and certainly during exertion too. So bringing enough calories in your pack, that is going to go a long ways to how your body performs. If we are on even a 3 or 5 or 10 day or more hunt, and we get progressively further back on our calories, getting a progressively deeper caloric deficit, our performance is going to drop incrementally along with that. And so, keeping in mind, and we're all aware of how important calories are and whatnot, just to being able to hike up and down the mountains and whatnot. But really, with that in mind, You know, again, front loading those calories is critical, almost as critical as after your hikes. And I personally struggle a little bit with hunger. And so, you know, make sure, and again, we've got a lot of content that may help you with this, but make sure your food tastes good. It's stuff that you want to eat. It's calorically dense, meaning it's got a lot of calories per weight, right? Thinking about those things and thinking about food in that way can be very, very helpful. And, you know, as well, the protein content of your food, right? The protein is the macronutrient of the three that is really most helpful with recovery. Protein helps our bodies rebuild everything, you know, from a cellular level. I mean, we're rebuilding muscle, we're rebuilding, you know, it's hormonally active. I mean, it helps us recover. That's protein's function. Right, goes right along with that. We'll just call this our third point here in this video, is hydration. And again, hydration is critical to both performance and recovery. The first thing, Ryan and I both do this in the morning, the first thing we do when we wake up, we've got a water bottle, Nalgene or other water bottle, whatever you like, full of water, and we put some electrolytes in there. And we drink that first thing in the morning before we even get out of the tent. You know, you tend to get dehydrated overnight, as well as you may be in a hydration deficit from the day before. If it's hot, if you're sweating, if you're working really, really hard, making sure that you maintain hydration. It's hard to explain how beneficial that can be to your performance. You know, and straight water is fine, but we add electrolytes, and so there's lots of different you know, electrolyte mixes. We go over some of those in the course. We may do a separate little video on electrolytes too, but we're looking for sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and those are the three main electrolytes that we're looking for, and that's going to help our bodies utilize the water that we're drinking. So it's actually really more beneficial than just water alone. It helps our cells uptake the water that we're consuming. More to that story. We'll go over that a little bit more in another video. But the last thing, and this is kind of, I don't know how common this is, but really taking care of your body. Thinking about, you know, doing some stretches. You know, Ryan brings like a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball in his bag, very small, you know, pretty firm ball, and uses it to kind of roll out some muscles that may be tight, may be sore, whether it's your back, whether it's your hips. You know, my hip flexors tend to get really sore. So I spend a little bit of time stretching those things, your calves, you know, the bottoms of your feet. You know, take a little bit of time, you know, while you're glassing, kind of while you've got downtime in the morning prior to a hike, whenever it may be that you've got just a few minutes. It doesn't need to be a 30-minute, you know, stretch session or whatever, yoga session. Great if you want to do that, more power to you. But just a little bit of stretching and loosen up those muscles, warm up those muscles, you know, before, during, after hikes. That's all going to pay dividends as you're working. So we'll leave it at that for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, give us a share, comment below. And if you've got your own recovery modalities that you do in the mountains, we'd love to hear about that. And we'll have a lot more of these videos to come. So hit that little bell and you'll get a notification every time we release a new video. Appreciate you being here.